Welcome back to our adventure in Pego, Spain, where we're on a mission to uncover the truth about the affordable housing market in this charming town. In this episode, we're diving deeper into the housing market by visiting several properties, each with a price tag that will blow your mind. First up, we'll be visiting a house that just sold for a jaw-dropping $5,000. Yeah, you heard that right, a house with the price tag of a used car. We'll be checking out the condition of the property and seeing if it's too good to be true or a steal of a deal. Next, we'll be visiting a few more houses, each with a price tag for less than your average SUV. It's crazy to think that people are spending a small fortune to live in the United States when there are such incredible opportunities for scenic, culturally exciting, and affordable living in places like Pego. As we tour these properties, I can't help but think about the potential of adding a house in Pego to my portfolio. With prices this low, it's a no-brainer to at least consider it. Join me as we explore these incredible deals. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to make a move and invest in your own piece of Spanish real estate. I've been investing in real estate in the United States since 2006, so that gives me about 17 years of experience. I invest to fix and flip, fix and rent, and that led me to start investing in other parts of the world. I've picked up properties in Colombia, Brazil, Italy, and now I'm looking at Spain. But for those of you who are just trying to understand why would somebody buy a crappy house somewhere in the world, I think it's important for you to understand how I approach investing in real estate. Now, I typically buy 1 to 4 family real estate, and I teach this in my course called Killing the American Dream. As a real estate investor, you need to be able to identify properties that have the potential to be raised in value. So you need to find properties that if you were to put a little bit of effort and money into, you'll have a property that is priced below the market average. That way, if you sell it, you earn some income. If you educate yourself and you know what to look for, you'll be in a better position to put your money to work the right way. We've already toured Nicole's $20,000 house, but this journey starts with her other house that she got for an extremely low price. Can't wait for you to see what it looks like because it might be a little bit shocking to you.
When you walk into the house, you'll notice it's really narrow, and it's set up a lot like my initial house. A lot of the townhouses have your initial living space you walk into, then you're going to have a kitchen, utility room, followed by a bathroom. And then when you walk up the first set of stairs, you walk right into the first bedroom. I may use it as like a sitting area sort of space, but it is a 2-bedroom house. And then out onto the terrace that has the incredible views of the countryside. When you walk up the next little set of stairs, you'll walk into just a living space, followed by the other bedroom that faces the front of the house. And your final set of stairs walks up to another terrace that's just slightly higher than the first that also has the beautiful countryside views. I plan to spend around $20,000 to $25,000 renovating it, so it will actually be similar to the cost of the first house. I do think the first house would be more valuable just because it was easier for about the same cost, whereas this house, the cool thing is that I get to make it exactly how I want it. I'll probably list one of my houses. We'll see which one I like the most in the end.
Now, that $5,000 house isn't for everybody. That's really for someone who is like, I like to take on projects. I like to start with something from scratch. As you can see, it's pretty much just bricks. It's going to need new plumbing, new electrical. Everything needs to be redone. So really, you bought that property for some land value and some structure. If you're the type of person who's never done a renovation or are afraid of those sort of things, this is not for you. What you want to do is be a person who has like the architectural experience, maybe some construction experience, or at least the kind of gut for this type of renovation. It's not going to be an easy one. And believe me, when you tell people that you bought a house that looked like this, they're going to think that you lost your mind. A question that you might be thinking is, why are these properties so cheap? Now, there's a few reasons why there are cheap properties like this in Europe. Usually they're located in smaller towns that are losing their population because people are moving to the larger cities. But this particular street is kind of in a small town, but also one of the less desirable streets in the town of Pego. The issue is that on this particular block, there's been kind of like what they would call an invasion of gypsies. But the gypsies are more or less people that were displaced because of war or their nation was pretty much eroded, and they have settled throughout different parts of Europe. So imagine people who are foreigners who have their own little subculture. And in Spain, they're kind of the outsiders. So they've settled in this part of town, and for whatever reason, the locals don't want to be there. It's not that this is like a rough part of town where you're going to get mugged or anything like that. It's just that you're going to be dealing with a slightly different sort of vibe than the locals are used to, and you're just going to have to learn how to manage that. Now, this next house that we're about to see is actually one that's being presented by Nicole's contractor, Lee. Lee is from the UK, and he's been working on her homes for her, and he said that he had another property that he wanted to show me that, of course, needed a lot of work, but he feels has a lot of potential. I'm standing in front of a house that's selling for $18,500, and I think it has potential to be fully renovated. Actually, it doesn't have potential. It absolutely needs to be fully renovated. So you could customize this one to your liking. It has a lower starting price, but ultimately it gives you the freedom to do what you want with the space. So let's check it out. Upon walking in, I noticed that the home was surprisingly wide, approximately 18 to 20 feet, which immediately made it feel more spacious. However, there were clear signs of water damage, as well as evident issues with the roof. The kitchen, while dated, wasn't a total wreck. For those looking to save money, this kitchen could be preserved. The majority of the necessary repairs were upstairs. There, 2 nicely sized bedrooms were bathed in tons of natural light. An issue that was immediately visible was the gaping hole in the roof, through which the sky was clearly visible from the center of the room. Despite these issues, the width of the house isn't its only redeeming feature. Another considerable advantage is the outdoor space. This house had the best outdoor space, offering stunning views of the mountain. Additionally, there is ample space for lounge chairs, a barbecue pit, and even a jacuzzi if you're inclined to keep it a bit exciting. I know what you might be thinking. Both of these places are in horrible shape, but as a real estate flipper, all I see is potential. Since Nicole has owned here for a few years, she's made a few friends along the way, one of which wants to show me a renovated townhouse that he has for sale for 38,000 euros. Apparently, it's been renovated and just needs minor touches to make it your own. Let's check it out. We're gonna go inside, walk through this house, show you what this owner has done. Now, I want to tell you something about this house. The owner is from the UK, so you're not going to have any issue communicating with him if you're from the United States and you're an English speaker. He's renovated this house already, so it has some of the creature comforts that you would expect in the United States, and it makes it a whole lot easier than getting into some of the projects that I featured before, where you're going to be buying them and renovating them. This one is more or less turnkey. Just bring whatever is your personal possession, and you'll have a house in Spain for 35K. Like the previous house, upon entering the first floor, you're greeted by a living area and kitchen, followed by a breezeway. The kitchen has been renovated and modernized, which is certainly a positive aspect. Outside, there's just the right amount of space for nurturing your own herbs, catching a bit of sun, and there's also a sitting area elevated above the ground where you can unwind, enjoy a glass of wine with friends, and fully appreciate your life in Spain. At this point, I must say I'm quite fond of this house. However, let's head back inside to inspect the bedrooms. While they're slightly smaller than those in Lee's house, they are still functional and comfortable. Storage, as with most older homes, whether in Spain or any other country, tends to be a challenge, primarily because people used to own fewer possessions in the past. Ascending one more floor, we discover a delightful rooftop terrace, adding an extra bonus of outdoor space to the property. The $5,000 home is too narrow for me. There's no way that I would be able to tolerate that. Maybe if I was a single person, that could work, but it needs a lot of work. And again, I'm not so into just taking something from that point, especially if it doesn't have a distribution that I like. The second house that we saw, the one that Lee walked us through, I think it needs a whole lot of work. And again, it's not my cup of tea. Mainly because I feel that the amount of money that I'm gonna have to spend on that property to get it from the price point that he's selling it to what Andrew's house is selling for just seems like it just doesn't quite make sense. There is a silver lining to that property though, for those of you who do find it interesting. It's wider than all the other houses. It'll feel a little bit more airy. Also, the ceilings are pretty tall. And like I said, all of those things add to the comfort of that particular property. When it comes to Andrew's house, again, the cool thing about that house is that it's mostly renovated and all you need to do is fine tune it. So for those of you who don't want to do too much work or are kind of like do it yourself sort of types, you would be able to move into that property, spiffy it up the way that you want while having some outdoor space for less than $40,000. Andrew's house is a short drive from the center of town, but up the hill a little bit where all the orange groves are. Apparently, the story is his brother Lee found it abandoned while biking the backcountry of Pego. Unlike the houses we just saw, this one is freestanding and supposedly really cool. It's not too far from the town. You could literally get there in just about 4 or 5 minutes. You have this house that feels like it's in the countryside, right next to town, close enough to the beach to get there in 15 minutes. Ultimately, anything that you want is possible when you're looking at properties in this price point. $150,000 to about $400,000 gets you a freestanding villa like that with some acreage, the ability to grow your own crops, living off-grid, pool in the back, really nice Spanish villa. Now, Andrew said that his property is not for sale unless he gets the right offer. And I think about $200,000 to $250,000 would do it for him, but he just started getting settled in there. He still has plans on renovating more, so I don't think he's gonna separate from it. But if you are interested in any of these properties, please just email me at info@entplife.com, and I'll gladly put you in contact with the people that I've met so that you would be able to get one of these homes. My overall impression is that Pego has something for just about every personality type. If you want to get something cheap that requires a lot of elbow grease and for you to customize, they have those properties that are completely wrecked and run down that you could bring back to life. If you're someone who's like in the middle of the road, who just wants to get something for a lower price but doesn't want the headache of having to do an extensive renovation, you also have those sort of properties. Now, for those of you who cannot stand living in townhouses, who want your own space, who want to live a little bit of a quiet lifestyle, you could find properties like Andrew's house that was up in the hills. I actually like that house the best out of everything that I've seen because I could see my family living there, I could see myself barbecuing outside, just really living life the way that I like to live it. In this next video, I'll be covering properties that are listed with a local real estate agent in Pego as well as the beach community of Oliva. If you want to see how well cheap properties can be restored, check out this property that I bought back to life in Italy so you can see for yourself that all it takes is a little bit of vision.